When Ryan's when it's time to begin, it's on the Review of Raw with John Pollock and Wai Ting, the A-team that makes sense of these things we see in the ring every week on TV. It's Review of Raw for Monday night, download it Tuesday morning from the Fight Network site. It's Review of Raw for Monday night on USA Now on the John and Wai Take the Mic.
Hey everybody, it is John Pollock and Wai Ting, and welcome to Review of Raw. Yeah. With Wai, who every week that goes by, it looks like you have gained sponsorship.
What are you talking about?
You look like a billboard right now.
What do you mean?
Look at this.
I'm not sponsored. These are just friends.
Look at that. The MMA Complex podcast.
Yeah, shout out. Shout out to Josh and James from the MMA
Does
Complex.
your jacket have a logo? Is it anything?
It does not.
Oh, it's just a black.
It does not. Yeah.
And how about the hat? What is the hat
I believe
symbolic?
this is Nike SB. So, yes, they have sponsored us. So,
what does the SB
we're rich.
stand for?
Sons of boys. I don't know.
Oh, you're just guessing.
I have no idea.
Oh.
I found this for $5 at the CNE.
Oh, it looks nice. You make it look like at least it's $20.
Thank you very much.
Well, we're going to get into Raw shortly, but you weren't here last week. No one was here last week.
Well, you were.
Yes.
Thanks.
How was your working trip that you were on? Can
You want us to talk about this again after we just talked about it?
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot. We just did talk about this.
Anyway.
We need to have like a chart on the wall. You know, we have all these producers, we have all these prompters. I mean, this wasn't in the production meeting that we had this afternoon.
For the YouTube,
Review of Raw production meeting.
For the YouTube versions, I like to try to just like get right into the things. I know that's just kind of how YouTube likes it. You know,
Okay.
They want us to just get right into it. If we talk about all this stuff, inevitably there's always somebody who posts the time code up there for everybody else because they just can't stand this shit. They just want to get right into the review.
You're an SEO expert.
Not really.
Is it true that keywords that used to be you were for a website you would have your keywords that they don't really have much meaning anymore? I was having this discussion
I don't know.
over the
I don't
weekend.
know. I don't know about that. I mean, I only know.
Come on, this is search engine optimization 101 stuff.
I know a little bit about it as it relates to YouTube, and I know that keywords aren't the only thing. You have to have, you know, like the words in your title and also the words in your description matter just as much, and it has to be the words at the front of those things. So you can't really spam your titles. You can't really spam your comments or descriptions. I mean,
I think every week you and I should take a still photo of something, like we're in the midst of something, and have more of a clickbaity title.
Oh my God. Something I definitely learned, though, is that, like, photos in your thumbnails of your faces doing something like this,
Wai
like
Ting
a still of that,
responded with the most outrageous comment ever. You won't believe it.
Whatever, something like that. But we should just have a photo shoot where we're just making faces like things like that so that we can start putting them in the thumbnails because people like that, evidently.
What a bunch of morons that we have to cater to, that the world caters to.
Yeah, but it's human nature most of the time.
It's just curiosity.
Yeah, I think humans are naturally attracted to, like,
chaos and
or just
something that's about to be an awful situation for somebody.
Right. Or at least just, like, faces of other people bewildered and shocked. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll work on that. We will.
This is just like we've gone on way too long. This is not SEO friendly at all.
No, it wasn't. What was funny was where you were last week wasn't all that far from where Raw was.
I missed it by a week.
Some awful planning on your part.
I know.
You didn't think of just staying for a few more days so you could see this Raw live.
Maybe I'll stay for even 2 more weeks so that I can catch the pay-per-view. No Mercy.
That's right. They're in California a lot. They're in San Jose next week, and then they're in LA for the pay-per-view.
Yeah. Do you think that's too close to do, Anaheim and LA within 2 weeks of each other?
I mean, how far apart are they? Like, they're still...
I think they're pretty close. It's like probably like half an hour.
That close?
I think so.
Because San Jose is super far. That's like Northern California, so that's not really an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Thanks for joining us.
Well, we had a healthy crowd at the Honda Center on Monday night in Anaheim, California, the former Arrowhead Pond.
And at one time, what people called the Ronda Center.
Yes. Where it may be what's the building they're even in next tomorrow night? They're at the T-Mobile Arena, I think, in Las Vegas.
Is that right?
They're in Vegas.
Yeah, of course. It would be, I imagine.
Yeah, that's not a really catchy one that you can change to Ronda.
Yeah, either that or, anyway. Do you think she might be, I guess
She is going to be there.
Yeah, but she wouldn't be at No Mercy,
Not that we know of, no.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into it.
Let's just...
I didn't know where you were going
We'll time code this shit ourselves, okay? So you guys don't have to do it.
No, screw them. They can find the review part, and they have to navigate through the rest.
All right.
It started off with a moment of silence for all the victims of 9/11 and this message that scrolled up the screen. Do you remember where you were on 9/11?
Yeah.
Probably in school?
I was in high school, and I was in the library, and then, a guy...
Is there an announcement?
There was no announcement. A guy just walked in. A friend of mine walked in, and he's just like, holy shit, did you hear about this? What happened here? And the first thing I think,
I'm curious how you... Because this is 2001.
Yeah.
As a student in a high school,
yeah.
How would you have heard about it?
Yeah, from a friend. From a friend who told me about it. And
how did he... What was his source?
I think he watched it on TV. Or he
At
saw
school?
It. Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Or he came late or something.
Oh, okay.
But I think what really shocked me was when I heard that the Pentagon was attacked. Because I think I heard about the towers, and even when you initially hear about it, your assumption is that it was some type of accident. But the fact that the Pentagon was attacked, that tells you right there. At least it told me before. I think I even heard about the second tower, but it told me that this was a terrorist attack, and yeah, that's kind of my experience. What about you?
I was home from school that day because I had this doctor's appointment in the morning, and then I was coming home where I think it had happened, and then I'm watching the news with my mom, and if I'm not mistaken, I think I saw the second tower hit, the news was shooting it as the second plane went into the second tower. Mm-hmm. So unless they were going back, but I'm fairly certain I saw the second tower actually get hit, and yeah, it was just crazy. As I recall, the high school I was at, they sent people home early that day. I think my brother came home early from school that day, and apparently they set up TVs in the rooms, and everyone was watching, and then the school dismissed everybody early that day.
Yeah, even being all the way up here in Toronto, I think there was fear worldwide, not knowing where any of this stuff was going to happen.
And how much was, the two towers were hit, and then you're hearing the Pentagon as well as, how many attacks could be thought about. They were talking here about, the CN Tower is a pretty prominent landmark, and, people were certainly fearful. Mm-hmm. It was, a very traumatic day, and that's how they started this off. And, of course, the WWE, they were on the road at that point. They had done Raw the night prior in Texas and then canceled the SmackDown tapings that Tuesday night and then did the live SmackDown that Thursday night.
And that was notable because it was one of the first major gatherings of
That's what they promoted it as, yes. And it was done in the same way of the Owen Hart tribute show, where you had a lot of people on camera talking. That was the one that had Stephanie McMahon's speech that drew tons of criticism.
Yeah,
rightfully so. And and that the crew, they were stranded on the road for that entire stretch from the Monday. They couldn't fly out. They were on the road together for those couple of days, and then had to drive to, it was Houston that had the SmackDown tapings that week. So the actual show began with Roman Reigns and Jason Jordan to mirror last week's opening match, where it was John Cena and Jason Jordan. The story here was that Reigns had called out Cena for how long it took him to beat Jason Jordan last week. Reigns doesn't shake hands with Jordan to start the show, and Cena is watching in the back. Jordan caught Reigns and landed with a belly-to-belly suplex. Reigns then landed a clothesline out of the corner and a big boot. Superman punch gets countered into a crossface by Jordan, and then Reigns gets the rope break. They go through the commercial. After a Samoan drop, Jordan hit a suplex, got a series of near falls, including one off of Saito suplex. Then there's a spear into the corner, a pair of Northern Lights with the final one bridging, and goes into the crossface from that. Again, Reigns gets the rope break, and then Jordan runs shoulder first into the post. Reigns hits the drive-by, Superman punch, and spear to beat Jason Jordan, but it took him longer than John Cena took last week. And Reigns did shake Jason Jordan's hand after the match, and I would say that these 2 weeks have been the most effective use of Jason Jordan since the move to Raw, and putting him in competitive situations with top guys that I think he's gained in losing, rather than it being hurtful in any way of him losing to these guys.
Certainly. I almost felt like really the point of the match was to get Jason Jordan over more so than, anything involving Cena and Reigns. They were successful.
But it had a nice tie into the Cena-Reigns rivalry.
Sure. They were successful, I think, on both fronts. Jordan, though, got the majority of the offense in this match. He was very dominant, and I thought it was good booking, and I thought Jordan and Reigns both played their parts well. So, the question is, this has undoubtedly been good for Jason Jordan over the past 2 weeks, but will the momentum keep up next week? And what do they do with him, once they're past a Reigns and Cena program? What can they do? Will they continue to do this, pairing him up with other top guys and having him almost beat them but inevitably lose? My opinion, I feel like it's a good start, but I think ultimately what he still needs is just a bit of personality and character, and I really haven't seen that yet.
Charlie interviewed Cena backstage, and he does have something he wants to say about Reigns, but he's going to go say it to his face. So Cena comes out after the break, and Roman just chilled out in the ring during this commercial. He throws a microphone towards Reigns, and he brings up Reigns' comments from last week about how the Rookie almost beat Cena, and in fact, the Rookie nearly beat Reigns. He mocked Reigns' promo delivery and tells him to just keep his response to one sentence because he's better with less words than more. Reigns says he was out having a great match, which John Cena doesn't know about, and Reigns has had more great matches in 2 years than Cena has in his entire career.
Ooh. First of all, it's storyline, it's a written line, but how much validity do you think there is to that?
Validity? Have you seen some of the matches John Cena's had?
Cena's had some great matches.
This is a promo out of 2005.
Right.
If you're criticizing John Cena.
But who would you rate as a better worker? John Cena or Roman Reigns?
At the moment, I will say this. I thought that on this show, John Cena had a pretty awful match with Braun Strowman, to be honest, as compared to what the Big Show had with Braun Strowman last week. Cena, I feel it certainly, this run since he's come back, even the Nakamura match, and then you look at coming on Raw, he hasn't had a really big match in some time. So I would say, at the moment, I would say Reigns is having better quality of matches over this summer, I would say.
Over the summer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cena then says that you can't put this on him. Reigns is burying himself and says his head is so far up his own ass. Reigns thinks he's already made it, and that's the beginning of the end in this business or any other one. And he's going to teach Reigns what real failure is all about at No Mercy. He says each week he gives Reigns a chance to take him to school, and Reigns continually fails. He says the guy would step up in this situation, and the guy goes and does his homework and says if he is the guy, he's going to show him something at No Mercy, but right now Cena thinks it's going to be a cakewalk. Reigns tells him to bring his bitch ass back as Cena goes to exit. He says Cena came to Raw to challenge him, not the other way around. And perhaps it's because Roman Reigns is selling tickets that John Cena hasn't in 5 years. So the gimmick is that Roman Reigns is delusional when it comes to John Cena and his in-ring skills and his drawing ability. He's completely lost, but it's whatever. It's his ammunition against John Cena. He says business is great with him. WWE doesn't need Cena, and Cena needs WWE because he can't break into Hollywood. He he's just having such a tough time doing these movies of the week, like Transformers and movies with Amy Schumer and hosting the ESPYs. I mean, who watches ESPN? So he says that Cena can't back up his words, and Cena says, "At No Mercy, consider me like a drug test. You ain't getting past me." And Cena walks off.
Wow. Yikes. Well,
I actually like this one certainly more than last week's, and I would say even a bit more than the first week's, to be honest.
Wow.
I thought this one, everything was within the realm of what a promo on a pro wrestling show, it made sense. There was none of this, you look at the U.S. title as a demotion. That makes no sense on this show, that you are being booked to win a title.
I understand, but I don't know. For me, the first week just kind of...
The first one had way more heat. The audience reacted to so much more.
And it just felt more real, you know? Like, with the following weeks where I feel like they're almost trying to recapture that same magic. I feel like now, at this point, it really comes across like, okay, these guys are just kind of acting and playing their storylines. And I don't know. I was just kind of missing the magic of that first week, and it's the law of diminishing returns. You keep going back to the well, and every single week it's going to be a bit less and less. Just like Floyd and Connor, after Toronto, it was all kind of downhill.
Yeah, the first one had the most reaction to it. Mm-hmm. I'm not disputing that, but I thought in terms of just the action, like there was a lot of stuff in that first week, like the heel turn stuff, and like there was just a lot of stuff in there where these guys were just throwing out these things to appease such a small percentage of the audience.
I guess it worked on me because I'm part of that small percentage.
This one to me was just a much more broad, attacks at one another that builds the match, that makes sense within a show. And that to me was
within the show, but didn't necessarily make sense in real life.
Which one?
Well, like Roman throwing out all these numbers and making all these claims that Cena isn't successful in Hollywood.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't true statements, but they were at least things that I can buy in a show.
Okay.
Like last week on Impact, we had a whole segment dedicated to a real armbar. Yeah. As opposed to the fake arm bars that we usually have in pro wrestling, because I'm giving you my body and I trust you. It's like, this has no place in a wrestling show. None. It made no sense to me.
I feel like at this point, Impact is just probably trying to do anything it can to attract the attention.
I understand that. But to me, it's like you could have done that in a way that built to something that didn't necessarily put all the heat on Sexy Star. To me, that video... You put all the emphasis on Sexy Star as this dangerous submission wrestler, and Jeff Jarrett, who's going to be nowhere to be found for the foreseeable future. So I really didn't like that element. And those videos were pretty well produced. I liked them. But that, to me, is like similar to my complaint about the U.S. title line. It's just, in the body of the pro wrestling show, don't just smack me in the face to tell me this is bullshit, which is what...
I understand
they let these lines come in, and it's like you can do a work shoot promo and still allow it to make sense within the wrestling show. Like at the crux of this, it's John Cena that I'm going to teach you a lesson at No Mercy by beating you. It's not, well, remember that New Blood Rising we did? Where it was Steiner, Goldberg, and Kevin Nash. And I swear to God, for you newer fans, the storyline going into this match was that the booker is friends with two of the guys, but not one of them. And the guy that doesn't get along with the booker, Vince Russo, is not going to go along with the planned finish.
That was an extreme, okay? And they certainly didn't go that far, even in the first promo.
No, they're not.
They handled it with a lot more tact. And I understand the argument, and I know that there are times where you kind of get taken out of it. But okay, like we'll talk about the Miz promo later on tonight.
Sure.
Where I feel like a lot of reality was thrown into that too. I think people are still a little sensitive and trying to figure out where that balance is between shoot and worked shoot, and totally scripted.
I prefer this. You're going in this direction. It's just. You can make it all work, and we'll chat about the Miz segment later. But overall, I like that sense of having more actual, real points into your promos that make them feel more important.
Right.
After that segment, Sasha Banks took on Emma to follow that up. Alexa Bliss was on commentary. Emma nailed her with a clothesline after avoiding the double knees in the corner. Nia came out, stared down Bliss on the announcer's area. We went through a commercial break. Sasha hit a tilt-a-whirl leg scissors, then was hip-tossed into a tree of woe, and Emma kicked away at Sasha's back, hit a running cross body into the corner, and then Sasha got out, applied the Banks statement, and won the match.
Yep, they're just telling the story of, the champion doesn't need to be pinned in order to lose the title. And
we didn't get a 25% chance of winning line from Michael Cole or anyone.
You really debunked that.
Stupid line.
Yeah, kind of is. But the match itself, I don't find that there's too much interest in any of the 4 characters involved. I just kind of see it as a placeholder for whatever Nia Jax match they have planned.
Well, obviously the big one way down the road is going to be Nia and Alexa Bliss. That maybe it's WrestleMania.
Nia and Alexa Bliss at WrestleMania.
I mean, they've been teasing it all summer, so I mean, they're going to have to save it for something big, right?
Sorry, what are you're...
It's happening next week on TV, as they announced.
Right. Yes.
The feud that they've been teasing forever.
Yeah.
Sorry, my tone was lost there, I guess, on way. They recapped the Strowman Big Show cage match. Did you have a chance to see this last week?
I caught most of it, yes.
It was really good.
Yeah.
It was very good. Last week had a lot of good, like the main events on Raw, SmackDown, and 205 Live. I thought were all, and NXT I thought had a pretty decent match with Hideo Itami and Cassius Ohno.
The Mae Young Classic.
The Mae Young Classic as well. There's some good wrestling from WWE, and a week where New Japan had an awful card on the weekend. It was a terrible destruction card. Brock and Paul Heyman come out. Heyman's job, he says, is to sell something that has already been sold in this match. It's also Heyman's 52nd birthday on Monday. He called Strowman the single most worthy challenger in ages. Burn.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He says,
sorry, Samoa Joe.
I guess so, yeah. He says it's the first time since the first Undertaker match at WrestleMania that the odds are against Brock Lesnar. So Heyman's the one that's following those odds. He asks if Strowman is badder than the baddest man on the planet and says Strowman's going to have to rip the title away from the Beast, and that Strowman reminds him a lot of Brock Lesnar in 2002, who ran through people like The Rock, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, and RVD, and says he expects the same kind of aggression like Strowman is going to show tonight when he comes out to victimize John Cena. And he asks if Strowman is ready to cross the border from sports entertainment into Suplex City. And he does the "Fighter, are you ready?" and then yells to the back, "Fighter, are you ready?" for Strowman, and then yells "Fight," which prompts Strowman to come out. And he came into the ring, and we got physicality between these two, where Strowman blocked a German suplex, then Lesnar blocked a power slam, hit Strowman with a German, and Braun popped right up. Lesnar looked shocked, and Strowman chokeslammed Lesnar, hit the power slam, and then took the Universal title and put one foot on top of Lesnar and held up the title.
Great visual at the end here.
And this is going to be our last interaction between these two before No Mercy, because Lesnar is not scheduled for next week's Raw, which is the go-home show in San Jose. So this was pretty much the go-home angle. I guess you could do something next week with Heyman and Strowman.
I also imagine they might be filming something in the back or some type
You're
of
right. They could have
package.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought it was good, strong, visual segment. And the pattern that I think they've been very successful with these Brock feuds, and going back to Goldberg and Samoa Joe, is just to have his opponents dominate him leading up to the match. And they've done a great job with it in this case. Do you ever wonder what Brock thinks about when he just stands there while Heyman talks for like 10 minutes in all of these open promo segments?
What he's thinking?
Yeah. He's just standing there that whole time, and he's looking into straight ahead, and you have to imagine that he's zoning out and just thinking about his groceries or hunting.
Going to grab his Jack Links after the match. How much he misses his large quantities of red meat after his diverticulitis.
Have you seen Brock's hunting show that's on YouTube?
No, but I shouldn't I?
It's so fucking great. I've only seen bits and pieces of it, and I don't know many people who know about this. Ariel Helwani didn't even know about this. But it's if you Google Brock, or if you YouTube Brock Lesnar hunting, you'll find these long episodes of Brock.
How long are they?
They're like a good half hour at least, I think, if I remember correctly. And it's just like Brock leading you through the woods with the camera as he hunts like deer. And it's great. It's a different side of Brock Lesnar that you don't usually get to see. He's just so happy. He's so enthused about killing these beasts. It's really good to see.
Everyone's got their passions, I guess. Brock's is hunting and
that's a network show.
Fighting people.
It's really a network show for you if WWE really is looking for more content.
All right. Well, maybe we should definitely table that for a future review.
Sure.
Be a good one to watch and review.
Yeah.
Goldust came out, and I thought, oh, okay, he's found his protege. Remember that?
Yeah, I do, and I don't really see.
I don't
see
think
there
anyone
being
else has
any
remembered
results.
it.
Yeah.
Bray appears on the screen. He's been watching Goldust for a long time. He used to think Goldust was different, but now he thinks Goldust is scared to take his paint off and show what is underneath. What do you think Goldust looks like without paint? You ever thought about that way?
No.
I wonder.
Because we all know what he looks like.
He says he's just like Finn Balor, and paint is their weapon that they use to protect themselves. And then, in the greatest stipulation of all time, which isn't really a stipulation, maybe the greatest title a match has ever been given, at No Mercy, it will be Bray Wyatt versus Finn Balor in a man versus man match.
What does that mean?
Man versus man.
Oh, so Balor won't be the demon?
No,
is
it's
that
not going to be the demon. It is going to be the man.
So
Finn Balor.
So Bray's the man then? So Bray won't have teleporting powers or anything like that?
These are two humans.
Sorry, is that what they actually put in the graphic?
Dude, they called it. Corey Graves called it repeatedly. A man versus man
put it
match.
in a
the
graphic?
graphic said man to man. This is the first ever man versus man match.
Now, how do we confirm that they are actually men?
It's going to be done naked.
Okay.
I love that we have built up to the lesser version of Finn Balor. That's
It
the
makes
test
no
here.
sense. No, it's silly.
It's like, should he have his hands tied behind his back because Bray can't fight this guy?
Well, really, I think Bray should be painting.
It's like
next.
Peter Parker that has to go out there and save
Yeah.
his people.
Okay. Man versus man match.
All I'm saying is by the end of the year, like what category for the worst of does Bray Wyatt fit into? Because I don't put him...
Worst angle for sure.
Worst angle, definitely, but it's multiples too. I mean...
Worst promo, you can argue.
He might be my worst gimmick of the year. My worst...
Oh, man, really?
I feel we need to kind of update it to like character.
I think
he's definitely my worst character.
You could call him most stale. I don't know if you can call him worst gimmick.
Stale Wyatt.
It's still a cool gimmick.
Is it?
I think so.
Not to me.
The promos have been bad, but I think there's still
everything
great
about
potential.
Him is just I have turned the corner completely on this.
Well, I'll tell you, I actually like the point of this segment. I love the fact that he went after somebody who was lower on the card who shares similarities with Finn Balor in order to make an indirect threat. I thought that was quite clever.
Yeah, they did have a match that went 2 minutes, and it ended with the Sister Abigail, and then Bray took a cloth and wiped the paint off the Goldust face. He's just like Finn Balor. He's just a man. Which I don't think there was ever a suspense.
God, I think
in terms of the origin of the Demon or Goldust as males.
Well, the winner should they should really both come out to William Regal's old theme song. How about that?
Some real men's men that are going to fight at No Mercy.
Yeah, but I thought the wiping of the face paint was actually really cool.
You know, I don't
it was very symbolic and worked for the feud. Absolutely, in my opinion. No, you just nothing good about
I'm
this.
not into this feud.
All right.
I watched a man wipe another man's face from paint.
Of course,
like this is paint.
It's not just paint. It's his identity.
For Goldust, it's paint.
Oh well, it's his identity. Is what it's like pulling a man's a luchador's mask off. It's crazy to think that Goldust came up in the same generation as Bray's dad, and yet here, like I thought Goldust looked great.
Goldust did a somersault senton off the apron. Like
he really is amazing.
In a 2-minute throwaway match.
Yeah, I mean, he really is amazing. He and Big Show, I think. I mean, those two are still on the roster, and they appear on TV regularly for a reason. And Goldust especially, though, at his age. So
what's funny is Goldust has the paint gimmick that will hide the age.
Completely.
But he's got a face that does not look his age.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, the fact that he's so slim now definitely helps too. But
he's 47?
Somewhere in there. But I mean, I totally agree with you. And I was thinking why we actually don't see more face painters in wrestling these days. Because it prolongs your career completely, if you could stay in shape, of course. But
Dr. Wagner Jr. got rid of that mask. And I mean, man. Some people don't have the Goldust genetics.
Yeah. Maybe we should just all paint our faces in daily life.
Dude, look what Kiss got away with.
You're right.
I mean, for years they could play
Why
these
don't
characters.
we paint our faces for podcasts?
I don't think it matters if we age. Is there a problem with it? I don't think anyone's tuning in because of how we look. I know for a fact people do not because they tell me that.
But it would be cooler if we did.
You're a good-looking individual.
Oh, thank you. You too, John.
Yeah. Maybe I'll use them.
Some very cute pictures of your child, by the way.
Thank
at
you.
2 months. He looks just like you, dude.
That's what everyone says.
Just like you.
I don't know. I don't think I look like a baby, so I don't really get necessarily the...
No, he has certain characteristics. The fact that you're bald certainly kind of helps, too.
I guess that helps.
Yeah.
Finn Balor chased down Bray, and he ran away. So it's 2 weeks until the men will fight for, I guess, their gender is on the line.
That would be a whole different concept.
That would be great to watch. If Bray
loser has to transition.
If Bray started to transition.
Well, I mean, he was facing Goldust here, which kind of did
he feuds with Asuka.
Wow. Anyway,
who has a mask because she hides something.
Okay. Well, I don't think that gimmick would really fly in 2017.
Wow. Charlie is with Sheamus and Cesaro facing Gallows and Anderson tonight. And they state that they see Gallows and Anderson as more of a threat than Ambrose and Rollins. It says they're at least a tag team. And it's easy to be a team when everything's going great. The real test will be after they beat Ambrose and Rollins at No Mercy. And will leave them with broken ribs and punctured lungs. And at their core, they're selfish and self-serving, and they'll turn on one another like wolves.
Do you think Sheamus and Cesaro are anybody's favorite team?
I bet you they
are. Anybody who watches wrestling, watches Raw. Does anybody say, Sheamus and Cesaro, my favorite team? I love those guys. I love them more than anybody.
Is there anyone...
People will say that about Rollins and Ambrose. People will say that about the Hardys. Some people will say that, like Bullet Club fans will, but I mean they're not that much better. My whole point is that I feel like Sheamus and Cesaro are just like, I feel they're largely forgettable, and it's been a long time now. They're very good, I think. In ring they're awesome, but they're just like they're missing just that identifier. That real unique characteristic about the team, or even about their in-ring style that kind of makes them really stand out. They've gotten a ton of airtime, but like nothing pops out.
They're in some ways the worst thing you can be categorized. Maybe the worst thing is that you're a cruiserweight in the WWE, but being on Raw in particular as a guy that is a minute filler. And by that I mean two guys that you can throw out there for a 2-segment match every week. I put Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose in that category as well. Guys that can go and have your 15-minute match every single week. And with Sheamus and Cesaro, it's worse because you're right. There isn't a whole lot of development that you get beyond these guys just trying to inject their own personality with what they wear, their choreographed entrance. But it's...
Man, Cesaro on his own was like way more interesting. He had the uppercuts. He had the airplane spin. And
Sheamus has benefited from this team.
I don't doubt that.
Cesaro's at least on TV now.
But the two of them are missing something, whether it be a manager or a third person or something. Just something like the Usos have that rap thing. The New Day have whatever, the trombones and all that. The Fashion Police have that. These guys need that extra thing too, and it's been a while.
I'm envisioning Cesaro and Sheamus doing the
Rapping?
Usos promo. Yes.
Oh, awesome.
So then we had Ambrose and Rollins with Kurt Angle. And, first of all, we had the tag match that never began with Anderson and Gallows against Sheamus and Cesaro, because Ambrose and Rollins were out for commentary. All three teams started brawling, and the match just never happened. So Ambrose and Rollins go to Kurt Angle in his one and only appearance on the show for Kurt. And they want a match against all four members of the two teams tonight. And Kurt says that he can't put them against all four guys. He says, you guys can go find two partners and then have an 8-man tag. Ambrose suggests finding Mickey Mouse and Batman at Disneyland if they have to. Angle stipulates they must be real people that you team with. And then Angle is left by himself and says that Batman would make a great tag partner. Your Raw general manager.
Is that a tease?
That Batman's coming?
Which
he
one?
showed up on Memphis once.
Batman?
The old Adam West.
Oh, okay. You're right. Yes. Well, who do we get now?
Is it Ben Affleck?
Affleck? Clooney?
They are in L.A. in a few weeks, so maybe.
Okay.
So this was quite the segment involving Kurt Angle. What a difference between the storyline going on with Shane and Daniel Bryan on SmackDown and Kurt Angle's. Even the Jason Jordan stuff feels as though it's been
He's been kind of distanced
way
from it.
on the back burner. There's no link between them now. I mean, it's mentioned.
Well, I mean, he was mentioned in the Miz segment.
I guess. And I'm not even asking for more of them. But anyway, that was Kurt's lone segment on the show. Then, just out of nowhere, the announcers state, we don't know how Kurt did it. Well, the answer is he has a lot of free time. He has signed Asuka, and a vignette ran, and she is coming soon to Raw.
I thought this was so cool. I mean, I don't even mind that sometimes they've kind of left so many reveals, especially call-ups, like for a surprise, that I've really missed these kind of coming soon teasers.
To make you anticipate it.
Yeah, I feel like it's been a long time since we've had some good ones. And this one in particular, for people who didn't see it, it was like what was it? It was like a punching bag or something that was swinging back and forth. And each time it swung back and forth, you saw Asuka's mask change. And I thought it was so cool. And the changing mask here kind of reminded me of like the Rey Mysterio teasers they did way back in 2002. And I think actually a lot of her gimmick kind of reminds me of what they did to introduce Rey. She's perfect for this type of build. Not only because she's limited with her ability to cut promos. She's not really a personality. But
she hopefully won't be having matches over a hashtag.
Or a gender, Anyway, but she is incredibly visually interesting and incredibly physically charismatic. So, and I also think her in-ring style will live up to the hype that they're going to set up with these vignettes.
They cut to Nia Jax shaking her head after the Asuka promo. And Bliss walks in. She's upset Asuka's coming to steal their thunder. It should be just the two of them on Raw. And in the match at No Mercy, she says it could be a classic match. Jax says they are not best friends. Alexa apologizes for slapping Nia last week, wants to go back to them being best friends, and then Jax informs her that she probably won't be happy with this news, but she went to Kurt Angle, and the two of them are going to have a singles match next week in San Jose. Elias is in the ring. He wrote a song for everyone. Says that Anaheim's only claim to fame is the Mighty Ducks, and then sings that Anaheim sucks, it sucks so bad, and then Kalisto interrupted to defend Anaheim.
I wanted to hear the rest of the song. I feel like his guitar playing has really shown improvement.
Oh, really? Because I think it's getting worse.
Really? I think his singing is worse, but like
singing's definitely worse.
I feel like he's playing more and more complicated strumming patterns, and maybe he's been practicing or just like really holding back.
He shouldn't though. Like he should not be getting better at this.
I know.
I think the charm is that he's awful.
He should
be like me playing the guitar
he should
here.
Detune his stuff and.
So Elias and Kalisto had a match. I mean, God, there's no character I enjoy more but hate less in the ring than Elias.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Kalisto.
No, Kalisto's just Kalisto.
Mm-hmm.
Kalisto hit a dive early in the match, and then his arm got yanked down and onto the edge of the apron. Booker T says that Elias has everything in the box you need as a promoter. He's just this raw piece of meat that can be molded into a superstar. He's got every tool away.
Maybe he does.
Elias twisted on his left arm. The crowd was dead here. Kalisto had a spin kick to the head, leaped off the turnbuckle for a tornado DDT, And then Kalisto was wearing a shirt, and he went to go take it off. And I'm not going to say this was Lex Luger level struggle, but Kalisto had a hell of a time to the point that they cut away from him trying to get this T-shirt off of him.
Oh,
if
poor
you
guy.
mist this, go watch it. This guy on live TV
I
are
know.
just awful.
He might be better suited for taped shows.
Yeah, well, he was taking the shirt off as though it had been taped to his body. And Elias caught him with a snap power bomb and hit the drift away and won in 4:27, which is about 4 minutes too long for an Elias singles match.
Yeah, they really are too long. And I mean, this was a Kalisto match. It was kind of hardly built up to as anything but a filler match. But I'm with you. Sometimes I just wish he'd come out, do the song, and then leave.
I'm going to rephrase my earlier statement. The worst position to be in is not a cruiserweight or a minute filler. It's to be Kalisto, who's neither one.
Well, he's on Superstars sometimes, isn't he?
On main event.
Main event, sorry. I mean, do you think there's a reason why he hasn't made the jump to 205 Live yet? Not that it would make any big of a difference, but, he seems pretty suited for it.
Of course. I have no idea. I don't know why he's in an awful
Where's Sin Cara?
position.
Injured?
Sin Cara? He's
there? Okay. I mean, I thought he and Sin Cara were a pretty good tag team, and I think Raw could use some more tag teams.
No.
No? Not
I
with
don't
it?
know. I guess they're not.
Okay.
Then John Cena came out. This was right at 10 p.m. So they timed the Cena-Strowman match to start because on Monday night they had a doubleheader for Monday Night Football.
Oh.
So this started right as the Vikings-Saints game ended and right before the second game started.
Oh.
So I guess they figured let's just start this during a quick part in between games and maybe we'll grab some people because after this it was like, well, there goes the rest of the third hour.
Yeah.
Like I think this third hour is just going to tank.
Well, this was without a doubt the main event.
Yes. Cena and Strowman. Cole notes that the Big Show is going for hip surgery and using last week's closing cage spot as the reason for it. When do you think we'll see the Big Show again?
I mean, I like what you said last week about it was actually a brilliant way to go, mirroring how he debuted. But I do feel like he'll come back again, simply because I think the man is in great shape for it. It's not like he's forced out. He's worked really hard to get into this shape.
If they have an idea for him, great.
Yeah.
But if it's just to play this,
But they'll always have a role for him, to put over guys like a Braun Strowman.
I don't know how. I don't know. We'll see. He's going to be out a bit. Like if this is his hip, and then his contract is due,
Right.
like next year around WrestleMania time. So if he's winding it down, I mean, we'll see. So anyway, Cena tries to run and get out of the way of Strowman, and if you watch Cena's facial expressions here, you would believe Roman Reigns that this guy is not cracking Hollywood anytime soon. I mean, he was just playing the most goofy looking, like horror movie victim here, trying to get away from Braun. Reigns is shown smiling backstage. Strowman dropped him with a splash, and it's all Strowman. He even hit a drop kick on Cena. They went through a break. Cena fought back during the break. He attempted the AA, but collapsed due to the weight. Strowman got up, landed a spine buster, then ran and missed him in the corner. Cena went for the AA, hit it, but nearly lost him here, tossing him off his back. And then Strowman rolls to the floor. Cena runs around the ring, gets nailed with the steps, and then Strowman places the steps into the ring, power slams Cena on top of the steps, and the bell is called for the disqualification. I watched this match, and a lot of people were critical during the day that they were doing this match on a few hours' notice.
Yeah.
With the idea that if you're doing Lesnar and Strowman, this could be a WrestleMania match between these two. I watched this, and this was the example that you and I have talked about, that when you have a first-time match, sometimes once you see it, you don't want to see it again, and that's kind of where I was left after this. I didn't hate this, but I do not need to. I was disappointed with this because I had high expectations for this.
Right. I can understand that.
And I think Cena just seems like, I don't know if he's hurt, but he just seems to be a bit slower than usual.
He was also wrestling Braun Strowman, though.
That's not a knock.
Well,
Braun Strowman is, to me...
No, what I mean is Braun Strowman is really heavy, and it's
Yeah,
not like
I wasn't even...
cruiserweight.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, but yeah, I understand the criticism. But for me, I still feel like this was way too soon for this match. If you're going to be disappointed, you might as well be disappointed at WrestleMania.
At the very least, announce this last week. You knew you were going against football. If you're going to do this like that, to me, I don't. And they're doing a much better job of that overall, of announcing these matches at least a week out, even if you disagree with putting so much on free TV.
Yeah.
But give these guys the chance. Like, you can't rely on people at 3 p.m. being on Twitter to notice this.
The only explanation I could see is that Cena is probably going to be out for a long, long time. And to the point where I wonder even if WrestleMania is in question for him, for them to exhaust all of his matches, in the span of 2-3 months. I wonder. But I
still feel you do have the going for the title record story for whoever is a champion on one of the brands next year.
But I almost felt like, though, this was detracting from both of these men's current builds, because I actually look forward to this match more so than Cena versus Roman, because I think Strowman is so hot right now, and that Cena match definitely was a dream match that I think they really could have easily built some really great anticipation towards. And here, just Cena getting laid out like that, I really didn't think was necessary. I don't think it added to the Roman match. I don't think it added that much to the Strowman-Lesnar match.
Yeah, I think the layout of this, I mean, you can never, I guess, predict how a match is going to click, but this one did not. Like Cena Nakamura, I feel you could go back to that and people would be...
It was a great match,
they'd be amped to see that match again.
Yeah.
This one, I think this match, if you were to announce a future pay-per-view, like a Rumble or something with Cena and Strowman, I'm much less interested after watching these guys for 13 minutes. So this match was awful. Reigns is interviewed by Charlie, and he says Braun showed him no mercy, and so will he at No Mercy. Another man versus man match coming up. Ambrose and Rollins are backstage looking for partners. They ran into Dean Malenko and Jamie Noble.
I feel like it's been a while since we've seen Dean.
Yeah, but they're not dressed to wrestle.
I mean, Malenko coming back even for one night. They'll never do it, of course, but,
No.
But it would be so amazing just to see Dean in the ring again.
And then they ran into the Hardys and asked them, are you guys doing anything tonight? They were like, no, we're not. Matt was full on playing the broken character to the point that Corey noted that he's concerned about this guy because he's acting delirious tonight.
Yeah, I feel like it doesn't necessarily mean anything. Like, we've seen this ever since the Hardys debuted. Matt would do it. Even an announcer might make mention of it once in a while, but it never leads to an actual storyline. And obviously there are a lot of complications that kind of are the result of it. But something like this was such a, small little part of this overall segment.
Did you see the YouTube video he did last week where he posted this 45-second message where he's totally playing the character?
Yeah,
that's it. What's the breaking point? Like, are they just going to push and push?
I don't know if there is a breaking point. I don't know if they're building up to that storyline at all. And so I think that's why, Matt just continues to try to hang on to this, because I don't get the sense that Vince is, or at least the company right now doesn't seem to be giving them anything to break them. But just do it. Just do it. Just do it.
I feel like they're getting to that point.
Yeah,
they're just going to keep doing it.
Yeah, so what?
We had our Miz TV segment. Miz and Maurice come out with the Miz Taraj, and they have an announcement that is going to change the WWE forever. And they thought of how they were going to announce this news, and they're going to do it where they met, they met, and that was in front of the WWE. And I thought they were totally just going to have some left field announcement here. But Maurice announces she's having a baby, and everyone cheered. And
great news.
The Miz says that unlike Kurt Angle, he's going to be there from day one. And Miz then goes to read a speech and is interrupted by Enzo. Enzo comes out, and Miz says that Enzo and Cass were a big deal. But now look at Enzo. Enzo was kicked off a tour bus. He was kicked out of the locker room, and says there was nowhere else for him to go other than 205 Live because no one can stand him. Which kind of doesn't make any sense. He's in the exact same locker room. In fact, he's in both locker rooms now.
Yeah, I guess. No, it does not make sense.
He's here on Mondays.
We don't know that, though. We don't know that. In the back, they might have a separate locker room.
Maybe he's in a broom closet somewhere. And he says that no one can stand him, and that's coming from me. Miz says I could have helped you. He says he was like Enzo, but he regrouped and rebranded, and he earned people's respect. And Enzo interrupted the most important announcement of his life. He says, not my career, my life. Miz sees so much potential in Enzo, but he just makes mistake after mistake. And he can't hang with someone like Neville. Enzo just hangs out with third-rate rappers, and he's a con artist with a couple of catchphrases. Enzo comes back, calling him Mikey, and says they have been in similar situations, and that Miz just tried to copy people like Chris Jericho and Ric Flair, and Enzo might be annoying, but he's original, whereas Miz is a carbon copy of others, and he's going on to No Mercy to become the Cruiserweight champion, while Miz is a paper champion, which Miz took great offense to, and says if Enzo was championship material, his best friend wouldn't have dropped him, and they agree to fight, and Miz is going to dedicate this win to his unborn child. I thought the Miz was phenomenal here.
He was great. He was excellent. That said, going back to our discussion earlier, how much of this made sense as part of his storyline?
This made no sense in terms of if you are pushing Enzo as a babyface, then this is the worst job in their history.
Oh, this was the biggest babyface promo The Miz might have ever cut. So, I mean, he set it off with the announcement that his wife is having a baby.
With the exception of the Kurt Angle jab he took.
Yeah.
There was nothing you could dislike The Miz about.
Nope.
And even the fact that this jerk comes out and interrupts his announcement that he's just had a baby.
Completely.
There was nothing you could like about Enzo in this segment. Yeah. And it just feels like they are actively just trying to kill this guy as a babyface. The whole story of the match was Booker saying, this is what you get when you upset the locker room. Like, Enzo looked like a total joke here. And how could you not, like The Miz, how could you not love this guy? Cuts this awesome promo. And to the point earlier, I felt with The Miz, yes, it was total counterproductive to a babyface that Enzo, I mean, it just seems they are...
Just even all that talk about locker rooms, like being kicked out, going to the demotion to the Cruiserweight division, all that stuff, these are work shoot comments that don't really make sense in storyline. Yeah,
I mean, with the... But I took the 205 Live comment not so much to be him saying it's a demotion, just that he wasn't wanted any longer by the Raw locker room.
Yeah, but even that is like...
they're making this guy out to like he's this asshole that everyone hates. And like there's no babyface qualities in this guy.
And really, outside of like the Corey Graves mention on that Bring It to the Table, somebody only watching WWE programming wouldn't know what the Miz was referring to here. Yet, I think you and I both love this segment. And it seems like with the success of a lot of what they've done in recent weeks, and the Miz is responsible for a lot of that too. This work shoot thing is very engaging, and it gets people talking, and I thought the segment was great because of those lines. I loved 3 weeks ago the Cena Roman segment where they injected so much realism into it, and here you had the same thing, and I just think it's successful. It works, and to me, it almost paints the Miz here in a
well. There's emotion.
Light.
You're listening to this, and you see. To me, what worked here was that yes, he was bringing up real incidents with Enzo, but not going out of the parameters of this. Like he was running this guy down because of his reputation amongst everyone. He wasn't going out to say that they took the title off of you because of this or this. Like, to me, it's like it never got outside to where this has stopped being a wrestling promo and this is just trying to entertain the locker room as opposed to being a match that you're trying to build.
But I really felt that with this one.
Now, for this, I won't say that there wasn't a whole... Like, everything they're doing with Enzo...
It feels like it's Vince's...
It feels it's completely for the locker room and punishment for this guy, who legitimately got over as a babyface, is popular, but they are bound and determined to kill that.
Yeah.
And
to humble him.
Yes. So I can appreciate the Miz's promo here while it's still I would not be doing this with Enzo. Like, this is an over character, and there's not an overabundance of them, especially that are talkers at his level. But The Miz was the one that
Oh my God, he
the shining star of this
totally
segment.
outclassed this man and made himself look like a real main eventer in the process, to the point where I feel like they need to really rethink how they're using this guy. I mean, he, in the match coming up, he continued to play this goofy heel. But, I mean, you see the level that he's at right now in terms of a promo. And I think he's just so capable of so much more for the company. Like, in the past 12 months, who has had a better, promo-wise, who's done better in the WWE than The Miz? Cena, maybe? I wouldn't put Heyman in that category. You know, Heyman's has consistently good promos, but nothing that really gets your attention, like, to the level of, you know.
The Miz had a really rough spot when he came to Raw, but that has since he has overcome that. I also look, though, at SmackDown that, like, we know, like, that they wanted Jinder Mahal, but if you imagine The Miz in that role for the last 6 months as their champion, I mean, I feel he would feel like a top guy at this point, especially on SmackDown, where I feel Raw, he's not going to get that opportunity. As good as he is, like, you just look like there is just such a big gap to me between the main event crew that they have and where a Miz level is, and I feel Miz is pretty much at his ceiling on Raw. SmackDown, I think a lot easier way to get to that main event picture, and he would be able to get there a lot easier.
But it takes performances like this where, I mean, this segment really wasn't crafted for him. It was crafted for Enzo. Yet I think he took the airtime and really made the conversation about himself. And it's impressive that even without a talking smack, the man was able to find that airtime and able to get noticed that way. I hope they build on that.
Then they had the match, and I can't say I've heard a better setup for a match that I really had no interest in seeing before or after. They took turns getting on the microphone during the match. Enzo says that Miz may be A-list, but his wrestling is going straight to DVD. And so did this joke with the audience.
It really didn't work with this crowd at all. All the, like, the talking in between the match stuff
Did not work.
Yeah.
Miz got the mic and asked, "How you doing?" as he repeatedly rammed Enzo's head into the apron. Enzo then crotched Miz on the turnbuckle as Miz was in mid-sentence, and Enzo says the question should be for his baby, and that question should be, "Who's your daddy?" which the audience began to chant.
Worked. Yeah, who's your daddy?
The Miz-Taraj attacked Enzo, and the bell was called in 3 minutes. He hit a skull-crushing finale on Enzo, and Booker says, "This is what happens when you upset everyone in the locker room."
It was really incongruent because the promo set up The Miz as a total leader of the locker room babyface character, while Enzo was is painted as this cocky, misguided rookie. Yet in the match, their roles reversed, and
he was left laying, and this is the guy going for a title at the pay-per-view in Enzo.
Oh, yes.
Yes, because they reminded you of that after the break, as Enzo staggered backstage and Neville was there and laughed at him as he walked away.
Do you think so are we getting Miz versus Kurt Angle?
I don't think so.
Then why do that line?
I think they keep the Jason Jordan program going.
Oh, I guess so. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
I mean, the Miz's best feuds are going to be people that they won't clear.
Right.
So maybe he will continue his imaginary feud with Kurt Angle.
You know, I really liked him putting over Neville in his promo, dressing down. Like in the midst of dressing down Enzo, he talks about how you think you can compare it to Neville, a man who busts his ass every day in this ring to get to that level. I mean, I think
it's just such a disconnect when you watch 205 Live. And it's like Enzo's positioned as a big fish, as a babyface on 205 Live that can outsmart all these guys. Right. And here, he was treated like dog shit in this segment. And Neville was just put over, like, it was just so backwards.
I know, and it was, again, it's like it's them venturing into work shoot, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it gets your attention, you know, and maybe that's all they're looking for in the end. But I see Neville almost as like a Demetrius Johnson, where hardcore fans...
Does that mean Enzo is going to have a problem making 205 that week?
He could. But hardcore fans really like and appreciate him. And, you know, if you listen to wrestlers, like in this case, The Miz, wrestlers really appreciate him. Just like how Demetrius Johnson, you know, casuals don't really care, but people like Robin, people like, you know, people who really watch fighting, they love him and they see him as a big deal. And so I think giving Neville the rep as sort of like the wrestler's wrestler is something that could really help him and help the credibility of 205 Live if they went with it.
They announced Rich Swann and TJP for 205 Live. So what they're doing Tuesday night is you've got the red carpet special on the WWE Network, which Ronda Rousey will be involved. And members from the...
Is that at 10 o'clock?
No, the red carpet is at 6 Eastern that they're airing on the network.
6 Eastern, so then the crowd is going to... 6 Eastern, and then what's that? How long is that? 6 Eastern. Until
I don't
what?
know.
Until 8, I assume?
Might be.
2-hour red carpet
I
special?
don't know that for sure. But that's featuring Ronda Rousey.
Right.
Cast members from Glow.
I wonder which ones.
I have no idea.
I wonder if Ellen Wong will be there.
Maybe. And you got Tiff going
I wonder
on,
if
so-
Awesome Kong will be there.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Who else? Tiff?
I said Tiff is going on, so I mean some of these
Oh.
actresses, you would figure maybe some of them are here in Toronto.
Tiff, right, yes.
So anyway, that's happening. Then SmackDown's on at 8. The Mae Young Classic, the finals are at 10, and then 205 Live is at 10:30. I am promising you I'm not watching 205 Live on Tuesday night. I will watch it later this week, but there's no way I'm going to be sticking
How about the
around.
red carpet special? Will you watch all that?
Well,
I'll watch some of that.
all I can say is if they are doing this Ronda Rousey angle, which they must be if she's here for it, how are you not doing this on SmackDown? Like, it's crazy to me that they're not doing it on SmackDown.
Oh, okay. Well, you're right. I think they should, and I think they could, because she'll obviously be.
Like, I would have had the finals on SmackDown, and I would have. If you're doing the angle,
nobody. You can't guarantee that everybody was watching. You know,
it doesn't matter. You're doing your angle. Like,
No,
don't
it doesn't
you
matter.
want
You could do your angle prior to the match. I mean, all you really need is we know that Charlotte and Becky are going to be on SmackDown. We know Ronda's probably going to sit somewhere in the front row.
So you think Ronda could do the angle on SmackDown before the finals?
Sure, and the angle doesn't even have to be anything big.
Well, if they do that, that's the smart way to do it
Yeah,
because
it
you're
would
going to
be.
have, and they've built this up, which if they are doing the Rousey angle as a surprise, they're doing it in a smart way because you're advertising Vince McMahon coming back. You're making this a big show, so you're going to hopefully have one of your, if not your, I won't say your biggest SmackDown audience. I don't think they're doing 3 million viewers, but you're going to have a pretty healthy number.
Totally.
And
at the same time, though, maybe their thinking is that we want to save something viral for the network so that the next day Ronda does this angle on the network, everybody's going to know to subscribe to watch things like that.
no one's going to subscribe, though, for that. I mean, realistically, if you miss SmackDown and you heard that they did this angle, are you signing up for a streaming service or are you finding the clip?
Not any one thing is going to get anybody to sign up for, pay $10 a month. It's a collection of things. And I could just see them thinking that this will somehow add value to this network property, but we'll see.
Well, I feel if you're doing the angle, do it on TV. That would be my advice. Main event was an 8-man tag. Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and the Hardys against Sheamus, Cesaro, Carl Anderson, and Luke Gallows. They went through a break. There was a super white noise with Cesaro coming off the turnbuckle. They had the heat on Ambrose forever. He fought off the Magic Killer, hit the lariat to Gallows, and then his partners are all on the floor. Eventually tagged in Rollins, who ran wild, landed a suicide dive to the floor. Jeff hit a twist of fate to Gallows. Then Matt hit Gallows with one. Sheamus and Cesaro just left Anderson and Gallows for dead as Rollins hit the Rainmaker knee and then the Dirty Deeds by Ambrose. We still need a name for that.
What?
The Rainmaker knee.
Oh, yeah. I'm surprised he hasn't made it yet.
And they pinned Anderson for the win. And the show ended with the baby faces in the ring and a stare down with Cesaro and Sheamus on the ramp.
Yeah.
This third hour is going to see a noticeable drop, but they had to expect that.
It was a worthy semi-main event to close out the show.
Sure. Yeah, it was an 8-man tag.
Yeah.
Raw.
All right.
Interesting show.
Yeah.
Had its high points.
Yeah. For me, I mean...
This was a good 2-hour show that went 3.
Sure. And I'll say, as far as No Mercy goes, the 2 main matches, I felt were already hot enough. And I don't necessarily feel like this show added to it. If anything, I kind of feel like it detracted a little from it with the Strowman Cena match. To me, that kind of took the attention away. Now I'm thinking, well, shouldn't Cena get his revenge on Braun? Rather than it just diluted the build, in my opinion. But it was a good. I can't say it was a bad show.
Do you realize if it was 15 years ago, they probably would have done Rock and Hogan on Raw one week before they met at WrestleMania?
Well, they did the 6-man or something. They
did do a tag match.
Yeah.
They did.
They did something on the Go Home show. Okay,
Yeah,
and it was
you're right.
awful. I thought it was really stupid.
Today they do the singles match.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Anyway, overall, did you enjoy Raw?
I thought it was all right. Yeah, I thought it was.
There were
all
some
right.
good segments on the show.
You know, again, I don't know if it was if it necessarily helped, you know, the main event, but at the same time, maybe that's not really their focus now. Maybe their focus is just.
Next week, not only no Brock, Cena isn't advertised next week either.
Oh, is that right?
So you're going to have Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss and Braun Strowman
Okay, well.
and Roman. That's next week's show.
Sure.
They didn't announce anything beyond Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax for next week. But
Hey, by the way, thank you, Sam. If you want to win a free Pro Wrestling Tees t-shirt of your choosing, including many of our selection, posted up on these walls, all you have to do is post a comment on the video below telling us your best and worst moments from this particular episode of Raw.
many options for both.
Many options for both. And you will be selected in a random draw by our producer, Sam, and you will have a chance to win a free t-shirt.
All right. That's going to wrap it up. We will be back on Wednesday with review of SmackDown and review of Mae Young Classic Final and review of Ronda Rousey angle.
Review of May, I like
Review of Vince McMahon return.
it. Yeah.
Lots of stuff to review on Wednesday's show. 205 Live. Maybe Way will get around to it. I'm telling you ahead of time, I will not see it.
If I have the energy, maybe.
It's going to be a lot of
It's a
viewing.
lot of TV.
It's a long,
Yeah.
long night on Tuesday in Las Vegas. All right, that's it. We will chat with you on Wednesday.